Demon Slayer represents the absolute pinnacle of how animation can transform a good manga into a cultural phenomenon. While Koyoharu Gotoge's manga was well regarded, it wasn't considered a masterpiece until Ufotable's adaptation exploded onto the scene. The manga's art, while distinctive, was often criticized for inconsistent action sequences and rough character designs. Ufotable took these elements and transformed them into some of the most visually stunning animation ever created. The water breathing and other sword techniques were brought to life with fluid animation and gorgeous visual effects that made every battle feel like a work of art. The fire effects, water animations, and lightning strikes created a visual language that enhanced the manga's concepts. More importantly, the adaptation understood the emotional core of the story. The voice acting brought depth to characters who had been somewhat flat on the page, particularly Tanjiro's compassion and Zenitsu's complexity beneath his cowardice. The music by Yuki Kajiura and Go Shiina elevated every scene, with themes like Kamado Tanjiro no Yuta becoming iconic in their own right. The combination of visuals and audio created emotional moments that hit harder than the manga ever could. Ufotable's adaptation didn't just faithfully reproduce the source material. It understood what the manga was trying to convey and used every tool available to animation to convey those themes more powerfully than print ever could. Attack on Titan's adaptation by Studio Mappa, and initially Wit Studio, proves how the right studio can take an already great manga and make it even better. Hajime Isayama's manga was always compelling, but the anime adaptation enhanced it in crucial ways. The 3D maneuver gear sequences were impossible to fully appreciate in static manga panels, but the anime brought them to life with dynamic camera work that made viewers feel like they were flying through the air alongside the Survey Corps. The Titans themselves became truly terrifying in motion. While the manga designs were unsettling, the anime's animation made them feel like genuine threats with weight, presence, and horrifying movements that static images couldn't convey. The adaptation excelled at pacing revelations for maximum impact. Moments like the Colossal Titan's first appearance, Aaron's transformation, and the basement reveal were enhanced through careful timing, music, and visual presentation. The voice acting brought emotional depth to characters' internal struggles. Aaron's rage, Mikasa's devotion, and Armin's intelligence were all enhanced by stellar performances that added layers the manga sometimes struggled to convey through dialogue alone. Most importantly, the anime maintained the manga's complex themes about freedom, war, and the cycle of hatred, while making them more accessible through visual storytelling. The adaptation proved that faithfulness doesn't mean slavish reproduction, it means understanding and enhancing the source material's strengths. Brotherhood stands as perhaps the greatest manga adaptation ever created, proving that sometimes a do-over is exactly what's needed. After the original 2003 anime diverged from Hiromu Arakawa's manga, Brotherhood provided a faithful adaptation that enhanced every aspect of the source material. The adaptation perfectly balanced the manga's complex alchemy system, making the intricate rules and applications visually clear while maintaining the internal logic that made the magic system so compelling. The voice acting brought incredible depth to the Elric brothers' relationship, with the chemistry between their voice actors enhancing the emotional core of their journey. Ed's determination and Al's wisdom came through more clearly than ever. Brotherhood excelled at handling the manga's massive cast, giving each character their moment to shine while maintaining focus on the central narrative. Everyone from Roy Mustang to Winry Rockbell felt fully realized and important to the story. The action sequences were spectacular, bringing alchemy battles to life with creative animation that showed the versatility and power of different alchemical techniques. The final battle against Father was a visual masterpiece that enhanced the manga's climax. Most importantly, the adaptation understood the manga's themes about equivalent exchange, sacrifice, and the cost of power. Every emotional moment hit harder because of the excellent music, timing, and voice performances that brought the philosophical elements to life. Brotherhood didn't just adapt the manga, it perfected it, creating an anime that stands as one of the medium's greatest achievements. One Piece represents one of the most challenging adaptation projects in anime history, taking Eiichiro Oda's incredibly detailed world and translating it into animation while maintaining the manga's epic scope and emotional depth. While the anime has had pacing issues in recent years, its peak moments show how animation can enhance Oda's storytelling. The early arcs, particularly up through Water 7 and Enies Lobby, demonstrate adaptation at its finest. The Straw Hat Crew's personalities were perfectly captured through voice acting that brought each character's unique quirks to life. Luffy's infectious enthusiasm, Zoro's stoic determination, and Sanji's passion all felt enhanced by their vocal performances. The adaptation excelled at bringing Oda's incredible world building to life through animation. Islands like Alabasta, Skypiea, and Water 7 felt massive and lived in, with animation that captured the scale and wonder of the Grand Line. Emotional moments like Robin's "I want to live" declaration, Going Mary's funeral, and Ace's death hit even harder in the anime, through the combination of music, voice acting, and visual presentation that gave weight to Oda's dramatic moments. The fight scenes, when properly animated, showed the creativity and impact of Devil Fruit powers in ways that static manga panels couldn't match. Luffy's gear techniques and other power-ups felt genuinely impressive in motion. One Piece proves that even with its flaws, a long-running adaptation can enhance its source material when it focuses on what made the original work special. Death Note's adaptation by Madhouse represents perfect psychological thriller adaptation, taking Tsugumi Oba and Takeshi Obata's cat and mouse game between light and L and enhancing it through atmospheric direction and stellar voice acting. The anime understood that Death Note wasn't about action, it was about psychological warfare and intellectual battles. The adaptation enhanced this through careful pacing, dramatic music, and visual techniques that made thinking feel as intense as fighting. The voice acting for Light and L was particularly crucial, with their actors perfectly capturing the character's intelligence, manipulation, and hidden emotions. Their verbal sparring matches became even more engaging through vocal performance. The adaptation enhanced the manga's gothic atmosphere through darker color palettes, dramatic lighting, and music that made every scene feel appropriately ominous. The Shinigami designs were brought to life with unsettling animation. Madhouse excelled at visual storytelling during the investigation scenes, using creative camera work and editing to make detective work feel dynamic and engaging. Charts, evidence, and deductive reasoning were presented clearly and dramatically. The psychological elements were enhanced through animation techniques that showed characters' internal states. Light's gradual transformation from idealistic student to megalomaniacal killer was conveyed through subtle changes in his expressions and body language. Death Note proved that intellectual battles could be just as thrilling as physical ones when adapted with understanding and skill. Studio Bones' adaptation of One's Mob Psycho 100 demonstrates how the right animation style can transform a simple art style into something truly spectacular. One's deliberately crude artwork was enhanced into one of anime's most visually creative series. The adaptation understood that Mob's psychic powers needed to feel overwhelming and chaotic. The animation style changed during psychic battles, becoming more fluid and experimental to convey the unleashed power. The emotional core of Shigeo's character development was enhanced through excellent voice acting that captured his quiet nature, suppressed emotions, and gradual growth throughout the series. Studio Bones excelled at bringing the manga's humor to life through expressive animation and perfect comedic timing. Reigen's scams and Mob's deadpan reactions became even funnier in motion. The adaptation enhanced the source material's themes about self-improvement, friendship, and finding your place in the world through visual metaphors and atmospheric direction that made abstract concepts concrete. The fight scenes were spectacular, using constantly changing animation styles to show different aspects of psychic power. Each major battle felt unique and visually distinctive while serving the story's emotional needs. Most importantly, the adaptation maintained the manga's heart while elevating its presentation, proving that simple art doesn't mean simple storytelling when handled by skilled animators. Studio Mappa's adaptation of Makoto Yukimura's Vinland Saga shows how historical manga can be brought to life with respect for both the source material and historical accuracy. The adaptation enhanced the manga's themes about war, revenge, and finding peace. The Viking setting was brought to life with incredible attention to detail in the animation, from ship designs to clothing to the brutal realities of medieval warfare. Every battle felt weighty and consequential. Thorfinn's character development from revenge-obsessed child to someone seeking redemption was enhanced through voice acting that captured his emotional journey across multiple time periods and personality changes. The adaptation excelled at showing the cost of violence through animation that made every death feel meaningful and tragic. The series never glorified war, instead showing its devastating impact on everyone involved. Character relationships, particularly between Thorfinn and Askeladd, were enhanced through excellent voice performances that brought depth to their complex mentor-student dynamic, built on mutual hatred and grudging respect. The peaceful second season proved that the adaptation understood the manga's themes about breaking cycles of violence. The farming arc was made compelling through character animation that showed growth through quiet moments. Vinland Saga demonstrates how historical fiction can be enhanced through animation that respects both the source material and the real history it draws from. Madhouse's 2011 adaptation of Hunter x Hunter represents the gold standard for shonen manga adaptation, taking Yoshihiro Togashi's complex story and enhancing it without losing any of the strategic depth that made the manga special. The Nen system was perfectly adapted, with visual effects that made the complex power system understandable while maintaining its strategic complexity. Each character's abilities felt unique and visually distinctive. The adaptation enhanced Gon's character development from innocent child to someone capable of terrifying determination. His voice acting captured both his childlike wonder and his potential for darkness. The Chimera Ant arc became even more powerful in animation, with the gradual shift in tone from adventure to psychological horror enhanced through atmospheric direction and unsettling character animation. Merum's development from mindless destroyer to complex individual was brought to life through subtle voice acting and animation that showed his growing humanity without losing his alien nature. The adaptation excelled at strategic battles, making complex tactical thinking feel as exciting as physical combat. The game-like elements of various arcs were enhanced through clear visual presentation. Hunter x Hunter proved that complex, strategic storytelling could work in animation when adapted with intelligence and respect for the source material's depth. Madhouse's adaptation of Naoki Urasawa's Monster demonstrates how psychological thrillers can be enhanced through atmospheric animation and stellar voice acting that brings complex characters to life. The European setting was meticulously researched and animated, creating an authentic atmosphere that enhanced the story's themes about post-war trauma and the nature of evil. Johann Liebert became even more terrifying in animation through subtle voice acting that made his manipulative charisma feel genuinely unsettling. His presence dominated scenes without requiring dramatic gestures. Dr. Tenma's moral struggles were enhanced through voice acting that captured his internal conflicts about taking life to save life. His character development felt more nuanced and compelling. The adaptation enhanced the manga's slow burn pacing, understanding that psychological horror requires patience and atmosphere rather than constant action. Every revelation felt earned and impactful. The supporting cast came to life through excellent character animation and voice work that made even minor characters feel like real people with their own motivations and fears. Monster proved that mature, complex storytelling could work in anime when adapted with the same intelligence and sophistication as the source material. Studio Mappa's adaptation of Gege Akutami's Jujutsu Kaisen shows how modern shonen can be enhanced through kinetic animation and atmospheric direction that brings cursed energy battles to life. The curse designs were enhanced through animation that made them feel genuinely threatening and otherworldly. Each curse felt unique and disturbing in ways that static manga panels couldn't fully convey. Yuji's character development was enhanced through voice acting that captured his determination, humor, and growing understanding of the Jujutsu world's moral complexity. The adaptation excelled at fight choreography, making cursed technique battles feel strategic and impactful. Each character's fighting style was visually distinctive and exciting to watch. The series enhanced the manga's themes about death, sacrifice, and finding meaning in a world full of curses through atmospheric direction that made the Jujutsu world feel genuinely dangerous. Character relationships, particularly the bonds between students, were brought to life through excellent voice acting and character animation that made their friendships feel genuine and important. Jujutsu Kaisen demonstrates how modern shonen adaptation can enhance source material through understanding what makes the original work compelling. While technically adapting Makoto Shinkai's original story rather than a pre-existing manga, Your Name represents perfect adaptation of romantic fantasy themes through stunning animation and emotional storytelling. The body-swapping concept was enhanced through animation that clearly showed the personality differences between Taki and Mitsuha while maintaining the mystery of their connection. The rural and urban settings were brought to life with Shinkai's signature attention to detail, making both environments feel authentic and meaningful to the character's development. The supernatural elements were enhanced through visual effects that made the timeline manipulation feel magical rather than confusing, with clear visual cues that helped audiences follow the complex narrative. The emotional climax was elevated through the combination of stunning animation, perfect music timing, and voice acting that captured the desperation and hope of the character's situation. The adaptation enhanced themes about connection, fate, and the power of memory through visual storytelling that made abstract concepts feel concrete and emotionally resonant. Your Name proves that adaptation excellence applies to any source material when creators understand and enhance the emotional core of the story. Studio Ghibli's Spirited Away, while an original story, represents the pinnacle of how animation can bring fantastical worlds to life through meticulous attention to detail and emotional storytelling. The spirit world was created through animation that made every creature and location feel alive and meaningful. Each design choice served both aesthetic and narrative purposes. Chihiro's character development from spoiled child to capable young woman was enhanced through subtle character animation that showed her growth through body language and facial expressions. The environmental storytelling was enhanced through animation that made the bathhouse feel like a real, functioning place with its own culture and rules that Chihiro had to learn and respect. The themes about environmentalism, respect for tradition, and finding inner strength were woven into every aspect of the animation, from character designs to background details. The supporting characters came to life through animation that gave each spirit distinctive movements and personalities, making the spirit world feel populated by real individuals rather than generic creatures. Spirited Away demonstrates how original animation can achieve the same enhancement goals as manga adaptation when creators understand the power of visual storytelling.